Hi, this is the Fantasy Blogger, and I'm making a video on my fantasy football video website, ufantasyfootball.com. And today I just want to talk generally about dynasty and keeper leagues. I just was invited to this experts draft, and I got stuck with a team that someone's abandoned, and on top of that, the league is a very difficult league. It's a very complex league. It's a keeper league. There's 28 roster spots, a salary cap. Some teams have a bigger salary cap, um, and there's even there's it's an auction. There's auction values. You've got IDP and flex positions and all that. So it's a very dynamic league. Needless to say, and I'm not familiar with all the different even rules and settings. So not only all those uh, all those placements, but you've also got to consider the different rule setting and adjust to those. So it's in the Dynasty League, and today the point of all this is I want to get to talking about strategy in Dynasty League when you're taking over a bad team. The team I took over was a pretty bad team, but what you want to do, in my opinion, is build it to win now. I always, with all my keeper and all my dynasties leagues, I never play for the future. I always play to win now. And what that means is I miss out on a lot of rookies, and I miss out on a lot of, I didn't get Adrian Peterson, I didn't get Marshawn Lynch. I usually stay away from the younger potential players, which is fine by me because sometimes a lot of times when you do get those players, they end up stringing you along for years, taking up that roster spot. In an auction league, eating up that cap space. Uh, so so you've got to look at those things. And also in fantasy football, there's no certainty. I mean, nobody knows what is going to happen 2 years from now. Injuries can decimate players. Players change teams change philosophies. The offensive lines get older. Whatever. There's a lot of things change. So I believe when you're not only in fantasy football and fantasy sports, but fantasy football, you want to play to win today. So what I've done, first thing I did was I was offered a trade. Um, and keep in mind, there's a lot of different rules to this league, so it's not just a straight up trade. But I got offered a trade for Jay Cutler, Chris Chambers, and my fifth round pick in the draft for Terrell Owens, Jeremy Shockey, and a third rounder. I went ahead and took that because in this league, wide receivers are valued more because it's points per reception, and I'm playing for now. And but at the same time, I always do. I mean, I keep the future in mind, and I think T.O. has still got a couple more years. He's just a physical freak. He's a horse of a man, and I think he'll keep producing in fantasy football. And then Jeremy Shockey, I love the New Orleans offense with him at it. I mean, I was really liking it before, but now with Jeremy Shockey there, I think that's going to be a high-powered offense. And I've got Drew Brees throwing 33 touchdowns, and I think Jeremy Shockey's going to return to being a prolific fantasy football player, and he's probably going to catch 8 touchdowns with about 950 yards. So um, I like the trade. I know Cutler is a good person to build off of, but I felt like to the fastest way to get myself out of mediocrity was to go ahead and trade Cutler and trade um, Craig Chris Chambers. I got to improve in the draft a little bit. The draft pick's not as important, but I improved, and I think I improved for this year. And then in the restricted free agent auction, I got Derek Anderson for a good value. So that worked out. But what you want to do when you're in a dynasty and keeper league and you don't have a good team, is you want to just build it piece by piece. Start putting the solid puzzle pieces together, and do whatever you can within within the rules of, if you're in an auction league, with your salary cap, or um, or with your trades, with your draft picks, future draft picks, is to start building the pieces. Get a TO, um, get a Marion Barber, get someone you can build around. You want building blocks. You don't want placeholders. You don't want serviceables. At least not in the important position. Now, quarterback, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you get a David Garrard, that's a great serviceman. But for your wide receiver one, for your running back one, depending on the point settings, you want that fantasy stud to build around. So go ahead and turn around your team, build it piece by piece up, and work your way up. Um, this is the Fantasy Blogger, vlogging on ufantasyfootball.com.